Hey there, it's Angela Ardolino with It's a Dog's Life, and we are in quarantine, which I feel like I'm finally getting caught up on some work. And the best thing is that my wonderful educational team is here, and we're getting the opportunity to create content, answer people's questions, let them know what's going on. And one of the first videos that I released was about allergies, since I see it. That's the number one thing I get asked at my shop, at my grooming and boarding shop. It's the number one question I get asked with CBD Dog Health, are about dogs' allergies, itching, scratching, biting themselves. So I put a little video together to kind of help us understand all of these things that contribute to our dog's allergies. So I wanted to go ahead and share that with my podcast audience.
Hang on, Angie.
Oh, hey,
Before we get too carried away here,
Carter Easler, the Director of Outreach and Education.
Hi, everybody. Hi,
you
Angela.
Just came right into my podcast. How can I help you?
Well, I just love this topic, and it is so complicated. There's so many different sides to it, and I have some questions because that video that you did, it taught me a lot, and I know that we all learned a lot from it, but there's more. There's always more, right?
There's always more. There's always more. I know even from the video, we were trying to keep it under so that, we didn't get shut down or too boring or whatever. But
yeah,
we try to kind of break it up into five.
I never get bored by that kind of stuff.
I know. You're a smart guy.
I love that.
You're a nerd.
You know what? I heard somebody say, like, if you can't explain it to somebody, then you don't understand it well enough yourself. I think Einstein said that. So, break it down. Make it simple.
He was a smart guy.
He knew some stuff.
Yeah, I think that I love taking the things that I don't understand, understanding them, and then putting them in my own words, because I think it helps people, understand it if we talk in layman's, and because we don't know. Even now, I think I spit out some cannabis terms, and I have to remember to remind people that don't know, okay, what this is, what this means, why we say this, that type of thing.
And I think part of why medicine is so confusing is because it's intentionally confusing.
So we can't understand.
They give it so many words and different terminologies that these drug companies, they don't want you to know what's going into these things. They make it intentionally boring and confusing so that you don't take ownership. So you just trust them instead of doing the research yourself and figuring out what the truth is.
Yeah, we when we recorded this video, you recorded it for me. We were laughing at the Apoquel ad, Apoquel being the number one prescribed pharmaceutical for dogs. And it's, like most pharmaceuticals, 2 pages long. And those 2 pages are, have you ever stopped and read them? Yeah. I mean, I know that human things are like, who cares? But when it's about my pet, I'm going to read it. And when you read it, it's scary. It doesn't make sense. You're thinking to yourself, why am I giving this to my dog? It's going to make things worse. It says it right in the warning. In the
may
ad.
Cause death. What?
No, it says it has been proven to cause the things to get worse.
Right.
So these are things I didn't even know. I just knew that it was an immune suppressant, meaning it suppresses the immune system, so that the body doesn't give the response that says, hey, something's wrong, fix it.
Right.
Rashes, all those things is the body, the pet's body going, please fix whatever this is.
Yep.
And a lot of times it's one of these 5 things.
Right.
Or 6 things. I can't even remember.
Can we go through kind of what you talked about in that talk? I think the first thing that you talked about was diet and food, because that's where you kind of got to start with health overall, right?
Right. So we understand that our immune system and the dog's immune system lives in their gut. Mm-hmm. So when they have an allergy that comes out on their skin, or lumps or bumps, a lot of times, or yeast, a lot of times it's from their kibble diet.
Right.
People don't realize you're not going to find yeast on the ingredients list, but what you are going to see is some of these other things that cause over yeast or over sugar in their body.
Yeah, the sugar. I think that's a big thing, is it's so many carbohydrates in a lot of these things. And sugar is that causes inflammation.
It turns into sugar and causes inflammation throughout the body. So everything from a dog's behavior to how their skin is reacting and their body is reacting. What's interesting is that their poops will look normal.
Really?
But their skin or their fur or their teeth or something else will look off. A lot of times it shows up in their skin. Yeast, you'll see the skin start to turn like a blackish color.
Yep.
They'll start biting their feet or spots like on their butt or tails that itch, and the hair will start disappearing. And a lot of that food. That's the food.
Right.
I can guess that it's going to be a kibble diet. And unfortunately, kibble diets have all these terrible ingredients, and it's baked at such high temperatures to keep it shelf stable that even if there was something nutritional in it, it's been killed, and they actually just add on the nutrients and flavorings and
other
colorings,
fillers and crap in there that dogs don't actually need to eat. Like it's not, most of it's not even meat oftentimes. And I think you told me that it was like dogs are, what are they called? Dogs are facultative carnivores.
Right.
And cats are obligate carnivores, which is like different levels of like dogs have to eat mostly meat. Cats are pretty much only meat.
Only meat.
And then these things have like, if you look at your presentation, it was like there was rice, corn, potato.
Most of it. Like you read the ingredients, which, should be what's the most to what's the least.
Yeah.
And when they say things like chicken byproduct meal.
Yeah.
If it has
the word meal, causing allergies.
Right? When it has the word meal on that is the worst parts of the animal that haven't been used, or the sick ones, or the ones that can't be used in human food. So stay away from byproducts.
Yeah.
Stay away from things that say meal in them, and if you can, stay away from a kibble.
Right. So what if we are doing like a raw and fresh diet? One thing that I thought was so interesting is differentiating between hot, neutral, and cool proteins, which is something that you talked about. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I still don't quite understand that.
Well, I think it's funny because even in my own switching all of my dogs to a raw diet, and all my dogs eat a raw diet, is that's not the end of the issues.
Right.
You can have it's Chinese medicine that there's hot and cool proteins,
they're more like
cool
aggravating
exactly
versus soothing.
Right. So if you've got a dog that is prone, or you feel is hot already, like you pick up Odie, he's always hot. Always has been hot.
This is kind of like Ayurvedic medicine.
Exactly.
Cool.
Which we base a lot of our medicine behind, our tinctures behind Ayurvedic medicine.
So people are like, oh, but I switched my animal to a raw and he still has allergies. What's the problem?
Right. It's not going away fast enough. So we have to understand that there are cool, hot, neutral proteins. So hot being the ones that irritate dogs who are more prone to allergies and things like that, like chicken. It's the number one, ingredient in pet food.
They've all got chicken in them.
And they all have chicken in them, or some part of the chicken, or even there'll be a beef recipe, but it's got chicken parts in it.
And lamb is also really hot too.
So chicken, lamb, which I know lamb is like even a science diet for dogs. But yeah, venison, lamb, chicken are very hot proteins. And, I have 2 dogs of mine that if they get into it at all, they immediately are inflamed, and you'll see the red where they've licked or where it's bugging them. Kind of like when you eat something that you shouldn't eat, or that doesn't agree with you because of an allergy or because it's not good for you.
So what are some of the proteins that are cooler?
So cooler proteins are like pork, sardines, turkey, and then those are neutral proteins. And then really nice cool proteins are rabbit and duck and whitefish are really good.
Okay.
And they basically don't bring any heat into the body and keep them, less inflamed.
Cool.
Yeah.
And is it possible to do like a cool protein and it's not necessarily like way more expensive? Like,
sure.
I'm like, I'm a 20 something. I don't know if I can feed my dog rabbit at this time. Like switching to raw is one thing, but then feeding him like a rabbit ragu with every meal is a little indulgent for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. And this is what's so amazing is that one of my dog's favorite treats and something that's so good for them are sardines and anchovies.
Oh yeah.
Which is they're packed with.
And you can just get them from the grocery store?
Oil. I don't get them just from the grocery store. You want to make sure that they're organic and that they're sustainably caught. My favorite brand that I've researched is Wild Planet, and you want to get them in water, or they put them in organic olive oil, which olive oil is fine for them too. So that is an awesome treat or something that you can throw on your bowl.
Right.
to give them something fresh every day.
Cool.
We're back and we're talking about allergies and what are some
Allergies.
things that cause allergies in our pets. From a video that I did. Where can we find the video? Is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube,
Awesome.
on Angela Ardolino.
Please follow, or what do you do? Subscribe on YouTube,
Yeah,
right?
subscribe.
Yeah, do that and like
and
it.
comment and
comment.
like and tell your friends.
Yeah, and if you have questions, ask me a question. I'll look it up.
Yeah, so one of the things that you got into was like all the different medications and things that we give our dogs, both internally and topically, to deter pests and different infections. And that freaked me out, because I didn't even realize the idea of putting enough chemicals inside your body, your pet's body, that it would then deter bugs from being on their skin. Like, that's got to be a lot. That's got to be really toxic to them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time that it didn't make sense to me was when I could see those little signs stuck in lawns that said, keep your children and pets off because pesticides have been put on. And I'm going, so when can you go back on the lawn? They say, wait till it dries, what happens when it rains, or what happens when your kid rolls around it, or your dog eats it. And then those chemicals come back inside your house when you come back home.
Oh my God.
But what's amazing is that a lot of the popular flea and tick products like Triflexis and Frontline and Adams and all these that I listed on here, HeartGuard, have products in them that are pesticides. These are pesticides that the FDA has named them pesticides. So you are putting pesticides on your dog or in your dog. So, for instance, with heartworm medications, in case of the fact of a diseased mosquito bites your dog, that they don't want it because it's a pesticide. Or if a flea bites the dog, they get the pesticide that then kills the flea and the eggs and the larvae and everything else.
That's just common sense to me. Like, that can't be good.
But you can't eat poison.
Right.
So, yeah. It's and the worst part, I also remember, little Frontline, I don't even know if they still do it, but it was like a little thing that you broke off.
Are we going to get in trouble for saying their names?
I don't know. So I'm just calling I'm not just telling the truth.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so you squirt the little thing on the back of the neck or whatever. And then I remember reading the instruction. It was like, do not get on your skin, wash hands immediately, make sure dog doesn't get it on furniture.
But you just put it on their skin.
I just put it on my dog. So why do I have all these toxic warnings and I'm putting this thing on my dog?
One of the things that you wrote there too is like with this one, ivermectin, that it accumulates in the central nervous system. So it is like building up in their brain and spinal cord and all these important parts of their body. Like, of course, that's going to cause neurodegenerative diseases and like other problems down the road. Yep.
All of these do. They're so, what these are, the pyrethroids. That's one of my favorite tips is if you look at the ingredients of anything for yourself or your pet, and there's more than 5 ingredients and a couple of them you can't pronounce, that's a good indication that it's something that's synthetic or a chemical or something like that. But what's crazy about these chemicals is that they help these other chemicals be more powerful.
I see.
So this is now science working against us. This is how we make it even more powerful inside the body. What?
Yeah.
We don't want to give this to our dogs. So
yikes.
Of course these are going to cause allergic reactions in your dogs.
Right.
Like the people that say, I've tried everything. Well, it's not adding something. It's what can you take out of your living environment that is causing allergens. And what the best part is that you're doing it for your dog, but it's going to help your entire family.
Yep. I think it's unlearning what we have just come to accept as fact. Like, we've been told for so long, like, oh yeah, you just give them this, you just give them that medication and it goes away magically.
Well, just fragrance. I remember, going clean and fragrance going out of my laundry, out of my dryer sheets, out of my everything. Wait, that's what, it doesn't smell clean.
Right.
Because we've been taught that clean means it smells like an ocean breeze or a lilac field or whatever bullshit they put on there.
Yeah.
All those are chemicals. All of those are allergens.
Yeah, because it's usually not lilac essential oil.
No.
it's some other crap in there as well to boost it. They've got all those same like boosters and things. And now the laundry is like, you can do lavender essential oil.
Right.
Like you can use pure, clean, awesome things that also have antibacterial effects, you know?
Well, once you start down that road and you get rid of the synthetics in your home, the synthetic chemicals, you start realizing that there are natural things in our world that smell wonderful, that work wonderful. I know you use all natural products on yourself, personal care.
Yeah.
And you smell great. I know you complain about me stinking sometimes because, I don't believe in putting chemicals under my pits. But
I don't either. I don't use that aluminum.
We can't go off
we could go way down this road.
We were trapped in an RV together. So
there's a story behind this.
And I do become a hippie woman sometimes. So but let's get back to chemicals.
Okay, back to chemicals. Yeah. So
there
you talk
are
about
ways
fragrance.
to make things smell better without bringing in these synthetic chemicals. So I know, like on this part of the video, I listed all these things that we use inside our homes and all these crazy words next to it, and all these crazy words are these crazy chemicals.
Trichloroethane. Ooh, sounds floral. Methylchlorioisothiazolinene. That sounds like a expialidocious.
But in a bad way.
But with chemicals.
Chemicals in our carpet, in our hardwood floors, or our fake hardwood floors. Pine sol. I mean, Raid, when you're trying to kill the bugs. All of these things that our pets lick, get on their feet, on their fur, get on our kids, and are in the air, get rid of they make our quality of air in our house toxic. We don't know what happens when all these chemicals go together. And what the worst part is that all of these chemicals that I listed that exist in these ingredients that, help us in our life, can be found linked to cancer. One of my favorite resources is called ewg.org. And you literally can type in these ingredients and it will tell you how it's linked to cancer, how it's bad for us. So do it on your own if you want.
Like we were saying, like a lot of them just mimic natural things. Like pine sol, it has a lot of like broadleaf pine oil or pinene, which is one of the terpenes that's in the cannabis plant that's really therapeutic and also like antibacterial. Like that's why they're using pine in the first place. It's a great thing, but then they just like tear it apart and add all this other crap into it.
You guys have to remember how much plant material it takes to make a little bit of oil.
Right.
So it's cheaper. So if you can make a synthetic version that you make your own and trademark and it smells good and look, it kills germs too, then great. So it's funny because you'll even look up the terpene pinene, which is found in pine trees and in pine sol. When you look up pinene, it even has a bad name because of pine sol, because of animals being poisoned by pine sol.
Right.
So it's so confusing. And of course, it's always going to be confusing because these are huge brands. This is things you throw in your dryer to make your clothes feel better, things you spray in the air to make your house smell better, candles.
It kind of breaks my heart though, because like one of the smells of my childhood, like I would go to my grandmother's house and it would smell like pine sol. I'm like, so anytime I smell it, I'm like, Alzheimer's, but the nostalgia is great. No, not she has Alzheimer's, like it is giving me. But
so, the other thing to keep in mind is genetics.
Right.
You can't, it's not like they inherit being allergic to pine sol or, one of these chemical pesticides, but if their parents were prone to allergies, they're going to be prone to allergies. And a lot of times, our favorite breeds and, the trendy breeds are, they don't breed them going, how do we breed the most healthy dog? It's usually, how do we get it smaller? Or how
swimming
do we get
in the shallow end of the gene pool.
Right. How do we get it to have one blue eye? How do we mix a poodle with a doodle with a pug with a whatever it is? So they start messing with the dog's genetics. So a lot of these, our most popular breeds that we love so much are born with problems.
Right. Yeah.
So keep that in mind. You want to make sure you get it from someone who has the right intention and is doing it well, if you're going for a breeder. And when you're adopting, know that there are natural remedies like CBD and a good diet that are going to help your dog with its allergies so that they're not biting their skin off.
And as always, adopt, don't shop. There's so many dogs that need homes, and usually it's the mutts that are more resilient and better adept to dealing with disease.
And I mean, any breed that you like, if you want a poodle, you'd be amazed at the poodle rescue. Even the poodle, we're in Florida. The Florida poodle rescue here is amazing. We groom the dogs. So every time one comes in, they're like, oh, this is another one up for adoption. I'm like, no, don't show me. Because I mean, these are beautiful dogs, and there's weird circumstances, people can't keep their pets, or people pass away, and they've got to find a home. So you really can adopt a dog, any type of breed of dog that you really want. A young one, a middle-aged one. I love seniors. They are fantastic. I don't have to teach them to pee or poop outside. They just they ask for it. They ask to go outside. So we have 6 minutes to save the world.
Only 6?
Only 6.
All right, Madonna, let's do it.
All right, Justin.
Great. So let's we've got all these things.
Did I give you enough information to
confuse you? You gave me so much
you,
information. I thought that we would get through it all, but there's still so much more.
So now basically we're going to talk about solutions. What helps, what I do. We decided to do this video, not only because I see so many dogs with allergic reactions, but we decided to talk about how to get rid of fleas, because I'm going through a flea outbreak on the farm right now. Right.
Yeah, it's that season. Springtime, they all come out of the dirt.
So
they're hungry.
We're dealing with them, but these are some of the things that I use on a regular basis and trust and love, and wanted to share it with you guys, including my favorite resources like ewg.org that I already mentioned. I get a lot of my all natural products for my garden and yard from arbicoorganics.com. And of course, my website, angelaardolino.com. We have all of this here and all kinds of information about all kinds of natural ways to do things in your home.
And also the Healing Naturally shop is another place that you can go for really great resources.
Those are great natural products for your pet. We concentrate on that. But EWG also has both a human personal care product database where you can type in any ingredient for your products and see if they're good. You can actually type in your products, what you're using on your head and your house. They have a household product list, so you can get all these things from EWG.
Cool.
But yeah, some of them.
So let's go quickly through how we can do each one of those things. Like food. How can we replace?
As always, I always recommend a fresh or raw diet, and some wonderful companies that do it right for you. So you just have to buy it and throw it in the bowl, thaw it and throw it in the bowl, or Answers. Pet Foods, Small Batch, Bones and Company, Primal Pet are some wonderful companies that are doing it wonderful ethically, and I love them, and they make wonderful foods for your pet.
What about like flea and tick stuff? We're going to have you did a whole talk about flea and tick, a whole video, right?
Yeah, we're talking about allergies. So we have to keep in mind that we also have to look at what we put on our dogs, what we bathe our dogs with. So if you're bathing your dog yourself, make sure you're using an all natural shampoo. One of my favorites is Aroma Paws. I love King Kind. Four-legger, I'll make wonderful natural shampoos. Also, if your dog's getting groomed, ask what they're making, what they use, because we only use Aroma Paws we use Aroma Paws and other natural products at our shop to make sure nobody has a terrible allergic reaction. Those things get in their eyes and their ears, and the skin is the biggest organ and absorbs everything, as we know. So it really makes a difference what you wash them with, what you spray them with, the smells, the perfumes, make sure that they're not toxic.
And a lot of these medications too, like they can be replaced with a whole practice of supporting the immune system and supplementing it instead of suppressing it here, exaggerating it there.
Right. And you don't, like I have 11 dogs right now here on on the property, and all of them are different, but still I can find a natural solution to it. So as you know, some of the dogs are allergic to the flea bites, but you won't find any fleas on them.
Yeah.
Others have fleas on, you don't find any fleas on them, but they're itching. And then you have the dog that's not itching at all, but is covered in fleas, like Blanche.
Yeah.
So every
so it's
dog's
multifaceted.
different. It is.
It's so many different things that all work together.
Right. So, no, everybody is, most of the dogs are on the same diet except for the two that need different proteins,
Mm-hmm.
but you really you have to treat each animal different and give them what they need. So knowing that our Ease tincture, for instance, is wonderful at helping them with the itching and the irritation. It'll bring down the inflammation.
Right.
Cleaning out their liver, or their tissues, because it absorbs all of the chemicals, stays in their bodies, and so it takes them a while to get
like
it
that
out of
flea
their
medication that concentrates in their brain.
Yep.
Freaky.
It takes a lot, and sometimes it will take months for it to get out of their body. So,
but
when
great
I see
food strips the body of those things, like all leafy greens, especially. I know from just what I know about my own health, like that strips heavy metals out of your body if you're eating, really great things. And so, these diets, especially that are full formulations or that you can research to formulate yourself, they've got like fermented vegetables in them that do that. You can still service a carnivorous diet for an animal while getting them the right vegetables that they need, instead of rice and corn and carbohydrates that they can't digest.
And remember that we have something called the immune system, which is supposed to help us get rid of the bad things, get rid of the disease. So if we're supporting your animal's immune system by their food and making sure we're not putting chemicals on them or in them, and reducing that and supporting their immune system, their bodies are going to do it themselves. So don't get freaked out. There's always a good place to start. Everything from what you clean your windows with, your laundry, carpets, hardwood floors, everything there's a natural solution to all of that won't cause any harm to your pet or your entire family. And it's amazing when you start making these changes, you really learn you have to adapt. Everything's not going to smell like fake roses anymore. But you're also going to see changes in maybe your own breathing or allergies, or you're not clearing your throat as much, or a kid is sleeping better, because we have no idea how these things, there's flame retardants in our mattresses, there's chemicals to make things, not wrinkle. So imagine we're bombarded with these things.
And like, just one final thought is like, I am not like against medicine and what veterinarians prescribe. I think they know a ton. And I think that, there are situations where you need a strong medication to nip a problem in the bud that's way out of hand. But it's the problem that we get into this everyday over medicate, where it becomes the go-to. It's the first thing they reach for at all times, that it's just like, it's
reactive and not proactive.
Yes.
It's not looking at the source and trying to figure out how to get rid of it. And a lot of times they'll turn to a medication because it will get rid of the symptoms. So you're happy. But what you don't know what's happening is that it hasn't taken care of the problem, and it's still in there and it's still causing problems. So, if you can be patient, trust me, one of my dogs is pink right now because she's so allergic to fleas, and I'm treating her allergic reaction. But I had to figure out that that's what the problem was, because I never saw a flea on her. They bite and leave. She's allergic to the saliva. So if I had just run to my vet and we found no fleas or evidence of fleas on her, she'd have been given a prescription medication instead of figuring out what was wrong. So find joy in trying to figure out what's wrong and knowing that you can solve it. And a lot of times
you can do it.
What's in their gut that's causing the allergy. So if you want more information, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I have, AngelaArdolino.com. I'm always available for questions, or Carter is.
Yeah, me too. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Anything we can do to help make your environment for your pet and yourself more natural, so that we're not having so many weird allergies that we don't know where they're coming from. So, one thing we could do to get a little bit closer to living naturally and healing ourselves naturally. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming.